Welcome back. This is Chapter 2, Section 3, entitled Interpret Line Graphs. So now we're going to be looking at graphs and deciding how to interpret them. We may even have to draw our own line graphs, but we'll see when we get there. To start, there is no new vocabulary, so that's nice. Here, the average retail price for a loaf of white bread for the year 1996 to 2004 is shown in the graph below. Predict the price of a loaf of white bread in 2010. So what you're going to be looking at is continue the graph with a dotted line in the same direction until you reach a vertical position of blank. So the question is, what do you think will happen? And this is what's nice about interpreting and making predictions, is one of you may think that this graph is going up and will go up again. And we'll go up to there. Okay. Some of you might think that it'll have another increase like it had over the course of these years here. What is that? 5 years here. So others may think that it is now on a decline and can end up here. So there are a large range of possibilities for this data. Once you hit, the question is for 2010. So once you hit 2010, your answer could be anywhere between 0.80 cents a loaf to basically $1.18 per loaf. I am under the impression that the price of food is always going to go up, and therefore I'm going to say that the price went up to $1.18 per loaf. There you go. So notice that the increase has been fairly steady all along. So remember, I made some guesses here of my own. Here it showed the exact same thing. Notice that the increase has been fairly steady all along. And by 2010, on the graph, you can predict, we'll use the word guess, that the price of a loaf of white bread in 2010 will be about $1.20. So you can see that the first thing we did was we made our own line. Then they gave us a line, and we needed to then look at theirs. So they said in 2010 that it'd be about right there, $1.20. Now, I would not agree with them that said that it was a fairly steady increase all along, because here it's increasing, yes, but now it's started to decrease a little bit. So that's why predictions can be a wide range of possibilities. So let's take a look at this. Check your progress. The average income for a full-time employee of a large corporation for the years 95 to 2004 are shown below. Predict the average in 2008. So now we have to extend this prediction all the way to 2008. So you could make some zigzags. You could say, all right, well, I think in 2006 there was a drop. There was in the market, a lot of people got fired, blah, blah, blah. You can make a lot of irrational choices there. But if you look at the overall prediction, you could see that probably it would increase maybe something like that. So here. So we just extended the line. Oh, and I think technically we're supposed to show a dashed line. But the question is, predict the average income in 2008? Well, I would say that in 2008, that is about $98,000. There you go. Which is quite the increase. I mean, look back in 1995, it was $21,000. Now it's $98,000. That's a heck of a average income. Bowling. The graph shows the number of participants in bowling from 75 to 2000. What does the graph tell you about the popularity of bowling? Well, let's look at it. Each year moves on and on and on. From 75 to 80, you can see that, wow, it's super popular. There are almost over 10 million more people doing bowling. But then in 80, it dropped down. But then in 85, it went back up again. So something happened between here and here that caused the popularity of bowling to drop down. Maybe some new invention came, some new game, some new fad came into play, but bowling eventually came back in and did better. So the popularity of bowling, let's see here, blank in the mid 1980s. I would say the popularity of bowling dropped in the mid 1980s, but it has since grown in popularity. That means you could describe the graph as in the mid 1980s there was not very much growth. It stagnated. It dropped. It did a bunch of stuff, but it was definitely didn't go up. And then since 1980, the 1980s, it's really increased. That is one way of explaining that. So I hope you got to see an. Oh, here's one more. County fair. The graph shows the attendance at a county fair from 85 to 2005. What does the graph tell you about the popularity of the fair? All right, well, let's take a look at this. From 1985 to 2005, what has happened? You can describe it in a lot of different ways, but I'll go ahead and say, according to what the graph looks like, there was um, I could say before the year 2000, attendance dropped drastically. Basically, you can see it dropped drastically. But since then, attendance has gone up. Now, I can tell you I go to the county fair every year, and I'd have to say that a lot of factors come into play when you're talking about attendance. Right? If they were to poll people and say, what do you think about the county fair? Do you like going to the county fair? It might be different. It could be for that 15 years, the week of the county fair could have been cold, super hot, very rainy. It could be a lot of environmental factors that affect this graph. And then all of a sudden in 2000 and 2005, it could be that the years were much better. So, but this does a pretty good job of explaining or telling what the graph says. So there's a lot of interpretation here. Good luck. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the problems we will be doing in class. Make sure you do your uh, check your understanding, CYUs, before as part of your homework. Good luck.